Welcome to this opening of the spooky season. Today we are gathered here to talk about Underseen Halloween movies that you might not be aware of. Welcome to the Cobweb channel, everybody. My name is Daniel, and if you're wondering why we're talking about Halloween, why we've decorated for Halloween in April, well, right now is halfway to Halloween. We are 6 months away from the Halloween season, and I don't know about you, but I celebrate the spooky season for much longer than just October. In fact, in the spring and summer months, if I have a stressful day, if I'm feeling down, I will often turn to Halloween for comfort. Halloween movies, music, YouTube videos. So I'm making this video for all the people out there like me. I hope there are some, and let's get started.
It's party time! You're the bait, and bait is you.
This message is meant for me.
Rock and roll! Rock and
Trick or treat.
Trick or Treat from 1986, which is about a bullied metalhead whose rock star idol passes away, but he gets his hands on the musician's final record, and by playing it backwards, he resurrects him from the dead on Halloween night. So this list today is definitely not ranked, and we're talking about Trick or Treat first because this is the one I am the most excited to talk about. And no, this isn't Trick or Treat from the 2000s. This is the one from the 80s, and this is a movie that I'd seen quite a while ago on this German Blu-ray that I imported. You see, this movie's been really difficult to get a hold of for a long time, and it doesn't look very good on this, and it certainly doesn't sound good. So I enjoyed it, but I didn't know quite how much I enjoyed it until I watched this new amazing 4K edition. It looks, sounds so good on here, and I loved rewatching Trick or Treat. I thought it was so much fun. Mark Price, who you'll probably recognize as Skippy from Family Ties,
Do I have to talk to him?
Skip?
Well, a couple of words would be nice.
is actually fantastic in this movie. I think he is so well cast as like a nerdy metalhead guy who's super into rock and roll but gets picked on by the preppy kids at school. The high school story is really good here. This is a really good teen movie. The bullies are really well drawn, but you like our main character so much. You want him to succeed. You want him to get the girl. And whenever he's able to one-up the bullies at all, it is so incredibly satisfying. So that's always great when you get a horror movie where all the stuff in the movie is good, and then when the horror starts, you're like, oh, this is just like a bonus. And it is really cool when this rock and roll icon rises from the dead because of like a pact with Satan or something. This is really taking from, you know, those old stories of people playing records backwards and they get secret messages like Paul is dead or something. He even gets a musical number at a Halloween party, and the soundtrack, which is by a band called Fastway, is so fantastic. I'm not even like the biggest metalhead, but I love the music in this. So much fun. And I will say, one of the points of this list is these movies are not like the October must-watches for most people. And the reason Trick or Treat is here is because it's not actually that Halloween-y. It takes place on Halloween, but you're not going to see that many decorations. There's a Halloween party, but it's honestly not very festive. There's barely any trick-or-treating, so Halloween is not very important to this movie. But if you want a little taste of those Halloween vibes and just want a fantastic movie, I honestly have no problems. I have no problems with this movie. Like, I love pretty much everything about it.
What is up, Asheville? It is All Hallows Eve.
Creeping Death from 2023. While trying to enjoy a peaceful Halloween with his mother, Tim is paid a visit by his rebellious friends, and after reluctantly letting them in the house, he becomes intertwined with the deadly consequences of their Halloween prankings. So this is a very recent and very low budget, very under the radar Halloween movie that I just checked out because it's free streaming on Prime Video. And I admit, when it first started out, I was like, okay, what am I getting into here? It felt a little bit like a Hallmark movie in terms of the level of acting and dialogue and such like that. Not all of the acting is bad, but the lead guy is actually also the writer and director, so I can see why he was cast, but I don't necessarily think he should have been cast. But this is one of those special movies that just consistently gets better and better as it goes. And by the end, I was like, kind of blown away with how much I did end up liking it. To talk about the characters, they're certainly not great, but the situation that they get put in is good enough and like scary enough that I was along for the ride with them. And I ended up being like, yeah, let's go. I don't care that I don't love you people, but like, it's kind of intense watching them try to survive this thing. And I like that they're all dressed up in costumes that are themed after the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. That's just a really nice touch. But what is the situation they get put into? Well, this is one of those movies that uses old Irish, or more specifically Gaelic folklore, a certain kind of creature that they use mythology for, that they make quite a bit more Halloween-y for the purpose of the movie. And when these creatures show up, I thought this is one of the better recent examples I've seen of people trying to create a new Halloween horror icon. These things look cool. They are pretty scary looking. They're very intimidating. And, you know, I just long for more monsters in movies with jack-o'-lantern faces. And examples of that often disappoint me in movies. But this is one I wasn't disappointed at all. I was like, these things are pretty badass. No Creeping Death is certainly not a new masterpiece and probably not a new Halloween classic, but it's one I could easily see myself going back to. And if you want those Halloween vibes and you want a pretty good indie movie, this is the one.
Go!
Oh, I'm tripping balls, man!
Carved from 2024. On Halloween 1993, the staff of a historic Pioneer Village attraction must work together to survive the attack of a monstrous killer pumpkin set on revenge. So when I first found out about this movie, I knew I absolutely had to see it because I am just such a sucker for pumpkins. I love a jack-o'-lantern, and I love a movie that like takes place at a Halloween fall festival kind of thing. I mean, the vibes are like so good. I knew I had to watch this movie, a killer pumpkin Halloween movie. And the movie is certainly not great. And that's one thing I'll say about this list. Not every movie we're going to talk about is great, but I think not only great movies deserve to be talked about, right? One of the big problems is I feel like the audience for this movie doesn't really exist. In a lot of ways, this movie feels like a very wholesome ABC family movie kind of thing. It's that kind of tone, kind of a comedy, but not really that funny, just light in a wholesome family movie kind of way. But it's also really gory, and the language is really, really heavy. And I like normally never talk about like foul language in a movie. I never bring that up. It like calls attention to itself in Carved. I'm like, geez, there is a lot. So I'm like, who is this movie for? Because I don't think it's going to work for like horror fans because it's a little too goofy and cutesy and blah, blah, blah. But then also like, you can't watch this with mom and dad or the kids. It does have really good Halloween autumn vibes at the beginning at this fall festival. But yeah, at the beginning, once the pumpkin attacks and the sun goes down, the atmosphere is gone, and it's just a bunch of characters like running around in the dark practically. The pumpkin monster, kind of fun. I like the way it looks, but the tone just never worked for me. It bounces back and forth between just super goofy and then extremely dark and serious in a way that just did not work. Was not a big fan of the characters, and Carved was not great. But if you're scrolling past it in Hulu, which is where it's streaming, now you know something about Carved, so maybe you'll be better off for that.
It must be the boogeyman. Here I come, boogeyman. As you know, I am really scared.
Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. So I think about Halloween, I think about the Halloween franchise, and I thought like, what Halloween movie would I like to stick up for in this video? And the answer is Halloween 6, but I do have to address, am I saying this movie is underseen? No Halloween movie is underseen, but it is underrated, I think. So this is my one cheat, this is my underrated pick, and I just really like this movie. To me, this is technically a sequel to Halloween 5, of course, but it's like the one spiritual sequel to Halloween 3, where Halloween 3 just veers the franchise off in this crazy anthology direction and tries to be like very weird and culty and Celtic with its kind of mythology. And Halloween 6 is kind of doing that too. It just happens to this time have Michael Myers, Dr. Loomis, Tommy Doyle, and returning characters and such. But the fact that they're there is almost like just because they have to be there. What I think the filmmakers really wanted to do is make a really weird cult horror movie all centered around Halloween. And I think they did it. I think this movie is fun. And I think if you're just going to last a franchise up into 6 movies, you got to do something different. You can't just have Michael Myers kill babysitters over and over and over again. At least I don't think that's the best way to go. And are Halloween 6's ideas all great? No. Is it a better explanation for Michael Myers than what you get in the original? Certainly not. Absolutely not. But if you're going to make another one, do something weird, do something crazy, do something kooky. And I think Halloween 6 absolutely is that. I really enjoy it. I think the fall Halloween vibes are off the charts great. In the producer's cut, the theatrical cut's way too blue for my taste. It's got like a radio DJ kind of thing going through it. I think it's underrated. I think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it.
Move over, Michael Myers. Jason, get out of town. This Halloween, there's a new deranged killer on the block. Hollow Gate belongs to Mark.
Hollow Gate from 1988. Okay, when this movie first started, I thought I'd accidentally stumbled onto some random person's home movies. It starts off with the kids' Halloween party, and my God, it is so low rent, low budget, terrible quality. Like, the visual quality is okay, but the sound quality is just abysmal. But at this Halloween party, a kid is bobbing for apples. His drunken, abusive dad comes in and starts berating him for not being good enough at bobbing apples. Has any parent cared about that in the history of the world? And he's like holding his kid's head in the water, trying to get him to bob for apples better. Almost kills his son. And of course, this kid grows up to be a serial killer. So it's a Halloween horror movie about a group of teenagers who on a road trip stumble across this mansion at Hollow Gate and have to survive this guy. This movie is bad. It is real bad. It is the worst movie on this list, absolutely by far. I personally bought this from Terror Vision, a company that puts out a lot of rare obscurities, but I was sold on the cover art. I mean, look at that. It looks absolutely beautiful. But it's a bad movie. But there's another just hilarious moment in here I have to talk about, where this ridiculous over-the-top couple comes to the gas station where our killer is working, and the girl's like, oh, this guy seems weird. He's probably never even been with a girl. And he's like, hey, baby, let's show him how it's done. And they start having sex in the car while he's pumping their gas. And he reacts to this as any normal person would by shoving a cloth in the exhaust, setting it on fire, and watching them blow up as they drive away.
What?
One of the craziest things I've seen in a movie in a long time. And Hollow Gate has a few of those moments sprinkled around. I actually really like the kill scenes because in every kill scene, he dresses up in a different Halloween costume and like puts on a performance, gets into character of that costume to kill people. And that stuff is fun, but wow, is the movie padded with so much dead air. It's a rough watch, but if you're a Halloween slasher completionist, you gotta watch Hollow Gate. You're obligated. I'm sorry to give the news.
You have a beautiful imagination. It's going to get you into trouble one day.
Cobweb from 2023. 8-year-old Peter is plagued by a mysterious constant tapping from inside his bedroom wall, one that his parents insist is all his imagination. Cobweb is a movie with a fantastic title. Obviously, I am a huge fan of this movie's title, but it got a very small, quiet release back in 2023. But by the time I saw it, I knew it was my favorite horror movie of that year, and it stayed that way. Not just the title, this movie itself is absolutely fantastic. It is so good at putting you in the perspective of a kid and like making you feel like you're a child again, experiencing an incredibly creepy world all around him. This movie is so uniquely directed, I think. I mean, like, it feels like the director just set out to make everything in the movie as creepy as possible. And he did it. There is such an uneasy, spooky atmosphere to this thing. So much Halloween and fall and pumpkins everywhere that you can see it. It's such a good Halloween movie. His parents, played by Anthony Starr and Lizzie Kaplan, they're super weird and creepy. And there is a voice talking to him from inside the walls. And where that goes, like, is everything I could have ever asked for. Whether it be like some kids in Halloween masks breaking into his house, the thing that's inside his walls coming out. I mean, this movie is awesome. I absolutely love it when it comes to atmosphere and story and darkness. It is such a dark, messed up kids fairy tale kind of horror movie. Everything about it I love. If you still haven't seen Cobweb, you absolutely cannot miss it. I Was a Teenage Werewolf from 1957. A psychiatrist uses a temperamental teenager as a guinea pig for a serum, which transforms him into a vicious Werewolf. This is one of those 50s B movies that I think has a title that is much more iconic than the movie itself. I feel like everybody knows I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Yeah, that's an old movie, but how many people have actually seen it? But it's definitely worth checking out. It's starring Michael Landon, back when he had short hair, which makes him absolutely unrecognizable, but I promise you, this is Michael Landon, and he's that kind of just angsty 50s teen, like rebel without a cause, jailhouse rock. It's really fun to watch. I love 50s teen culture, but there were not enough 50s teen horror movies. There's some, and this is one of the most iconic of them, but I do wish that they made more. So all the stuff with the teenagers is a blast. I love to hear that 50s slang. I love this party that they have where one of the guys breaks out into song. You got a whole musical number. But by the way, this is a Halloween party. I think a lot of people might not know this is a Halloween movie. You just might not know because it is not Halloween-y at all.
You know, I thought this was going to be a costume party.
There's no decorations, nobody puts on a costume, nobody goes trick-or-treating, but for some reason, it's Halloween. So I probably can't really recommend this as a Halloween movie for October, but for halfway to Halloween, it makes a lot more sense now just to get that little taste of Halloween if you're just looking for a little bit. I've seen a lot of bad werewolves in old werewolf movies. This is not one of them. I actually really like this one, but my only big problem with the movie, besides the lack of Halloween atmosphere, is the third act. The teenage characters kind of fall off, and it becomes about the authorities, the adults, on a manhunt trying to track down this werewolf. And I just don't really care about that. I don't care about these adults. I want to stick with the teenagers. I mean, they're the ones that you set me up with in this movie. Let's follow them to the end. I don't want these police officers and blah, blah, blah. But that's kind of what you have to deal with in the third act. But for the first hour, it's a very fun 50s teen B-horror movie. I like it.
Halloween is the best day ever.
I can't not trick or treat.
Why not?
That's what I always do.
Grow Up, Tony Phillips from 2013. I am so happy to be talking about this movie, to bring some attention to it, because this is not a horror movie at all. This is a coming of age teen movie that takes place and is centered all around the Halloween season. And honestly, I wish we had more movies like that. This movie is a lot of fun. It's about a high school senior who is obsessively in love with Halloween. He has been ever since he was a kid. But now that he's much older, people are trying to talk him out of it, saying he needs to move on. He needs to grow up. He needs to stop going trick-or-treating and obsessing over making costumes. But he just doesn't want to do it. And I really like him as a character because he's not necessarily like stuck as a child, because you do see he has maturity more than even a lot of the adults around him. He's just someone who wants to unabashedly love what he loves and not care about being cool. And that makes him really likable and relatable for a person in his 30s, because when you hit your 30s, you realize you should just embrace what you love. And then when you're a teenager, you're like trying to be cool. You look back on that and you realize how stupid that was. It's definitely low budget, maybe feels a little bit like a TV movie, but I didn't think it held it back much. Really like the performances here, like AJ Bowen, who is pretty big in like independent horror. He's in like House of the Devil and You're Next. He's here as Tony's burnout cousin who's coming to live with them, and I think this is the best performance I'd ever seen from AJ Bowen. Now, the movie is very Halloween-y, but something that's almost kind of weird about it is 100% a wholesome version of Halloween. There is nothing remotely scary in this movie. Nobody wears a scary costume. Nobody watches horror movies. It is all just a squeaky clean family version of Halloween. I think I would have liked it a little more if like he wasn't just Halloween. He was into like spooky stuff. He's into horror movies, blah, blah, blah. Maybe I'm just trying to make him more like me, and that's probably a problem. He is who he is. So as long as you're not too put off by that, I found it fun, cozy, and I'm happy to have it on this new Blu-ray release from Graveface Films, which is a partner label with Terror Vision. Really, really cool cover art. Fun movie.
What are you gonna do? Nothing bad. Never let anyone pick on you.
The Guest from 2014, which is about a soldier who introduces himself to the Peterson family, claiming to be a friend of their son who died in action. So is The Guest still Underseen? I don't know. And I really hope not, honestly. I hope I'm wrong, because this is a movie that should be experienced by everyone. I remember when this first came out in 2014, it was like to limited release, and I wanted to see it so bad because it didn't come to theaters around me. And the minute it hit streaming, I checked it out and just fell head over heels in love with it. It's been one of my favorite movies ever since. Dan Stevens gives a jaw-dropping performance as this lead character who is incredibly cool and charismatic, and you only discover more about who he really is and understand his dark side as the movie goes, and man, Dan Stevens plays it so good. And it really blows me away how much The Guest is able to switch genres, like on a dime, completely smooth, because it really starts out like a drama and then becomes a comedy. It gets really funny, and then it's an action movie, and it's like a kick-ass one, and then it is a horror movie. It's like leaning into John Carpenter's Halloween territory by the end. And I think all of that kind of makes it a really good halfway to Halloween movie, because it's not a 100% pure horror film. So if you just want to watch horror in October, The Guest would be a really good one for halfway to Halloween, because you're going to get that, but not all the way. It's cool, violent, intense. It's got an amazing soundtrack. It's got an early performance from Micah Monroe before she really hit it big. I honestly think it is a 5-star, perfect movie. It's one of my favorites, and if it is underseen, we got to change that. Before I go, I just want to give a huge shout out to my patrons who truly make this channel possible, with a special shout out to Chris Sloan, Arnie Hand, and Katie Russell. You guys absolutely rule. So that's my list, but what are some other Halloween movies that you love, and are you excited to get in a little bit of the Halloween spirit for halfway to Halloween leading up to October? Let's talk about it down in the comments below. And if you did enjoy this, you can check out last October's video on Halloween movies, or this playlist of a lot of my other recommendation videos. Thank you all so much. Don't forget to enjoy yourself today. Have some good spooky fun, and I'll see you next time.